To become noble, what a strange and dangerous demand this is in an age that worships comfort, equality, and noise. For nobility is not inherited through blood, but through suffering. It is not given, but wrestled from solitude. And who among you still knows how to be alone without immediately reaching for distraction, for companionship, for applause? You flee from your own depths as if they were the open mouth of a beast. Yet I tell you, only in the cave of one's own solitude does the beast become your friend, your teacher, your mirror. Loneliness is not mere isolation. It is the crucible in which the spirit burns away imitation. The noble soul is not noble because others call it so. It is noble because it has gone through the purifying fire of solitude and has learned to love its own law. To become noble, you must first lose the audience. Lose the chorus that chants your praises and your fears. Lose the comfort of belonging. Only then do you stand naked before yourself, without justification, without applause, without alibi. When man is alone, he meets his most dangerous companion, his own thoughts. And most people cannot bear this encounter. They mistake the whisper of their cowardice for the voice of reason. They call their timidity humility, their weakness kindness, their resignation wisdom. But the noble soul calls its cowardice by its true name and laughs in its face. Loneliness becomes her battlefield. For what is nobility, if not the discipline of one who has conquered himself again and again? Look at the herds of the world, how they cluster around each other, fearing that without the warmth of others, they might vanish into nothingness. But the noble human being does not vanish in solitude, he multiplies. His solitude is a forge. Each moment alone is a hammer strike, shaping the raw metal of his being into a sharper, prouder form. He learns to say yes to his own instincts, to trust the storm within, rather than the opinions of the timid. The herd seeks safety in numbers. The noble soul finds strength in aloneness. You ask me, but why must nobility require loneliness? Because nobility is creation, and creation is a solitary act. The artist, the philosopher, the saint, each must step outside the shared dream of mankind and dare to dream alone. He must descend into the chaos of his own depths and bring back new forms, new values, new meanings. And chaos does not speak softly, it roars. Only those who have faced the thunder within can give birth to something that does not already belong to the world. Do you know why most people remain mediocre? Because they are addicted to the approval of others. They are terrified of standing alone in the desert of their own judgment. They want to be liked more than they want to be true. They seek mirrors, not mountains. And so they never become anything more than reflections, flickering images of collective desire. But you, if you wish to become noble, must shatter the mirror. Stand where no one can see you, act without witness. Love without needing to be loved back. That is where nobility begins. The noble soul says, I will be my own standard. This is the first act of rebellion and the highest act of courage. It is also the loneliest, for the moment you declare your own law, you separate yourself from the common law. You are exiled from the kingdom of conformity. You walk a road where few can follow. And yet what beauty there is in that exile, what silence, what clarity, what vast skies. For the noble person is not lonely because he lacks company. He is lonely because no one yet exists at his height. Do not misunderstand me. This loneliness is not despair. It is not the loneliness of the defeated or the abandoned. It is the loneliness of ascent. The climber does not curse the mountain because his companions have fallen behind. He breathes thin air and laughs. The higher you climb, the fewer voices you will hear, until, at last, only your own echoes remain. That silence is not emptiness. It is the sound of freedom. To become noble, then, is to accept loneliness, not as punishment, but as initiation. The weak avoid it. The mediocre endure it. But the noble one chooses it as a blacksmith chooses fire, knowing that without heat the metal remains soft. When you are alone, there is no one left to blame, no one to praise, no one to deceive. You see yourself naked, trembling, unmasked. This is the beginning of greatness. For nobility begins with the question, can I bear to be what I truly am? Most cannot. They prefer the comfort of masks. the safety of belonging to some collective, a nation, a faith, a movement, a cause. They want their values handed to them, polished and ready to wear. But the noble spirit fashions his own values as the sculptor carves his own statue. Each blow of the chisel is an act of solitude, each fragment removed an act of liberation. And when the statue stands finished, the world will not understand it because it was not made for their understanding. You will be misunderstood. You will be mocked, feared, envied. The noble path always cuts through the wilderness of misunderstanding. But remember, to be understood by the herd is to have failed as an individual. Let your solitude become your fortress, not your prison. Learn to love the silence that others dread. For only in that silence does your highest voice begin to speak. When you are lonely, do not seek distraction. Listen, that ache in your chest is the birth pang of something greater. The noble soul is forged in pain, but it is not destroyed by it. It bends like steel, and in bending becomes unbreakable. You are not meant to escape your loneliness. You are meant to transform it, to turn it into the source of your strength, your vision, your love of life itself. And so I say, to become noble, first become lonely. Let your solitude be the wilderness where you meet yourself for the first time. Let the absence of others reveal the presence of your own becoming. Do not flee from this trial, embrace it. For through it, you will find the only companionship worthy of you, the companionship of your own awakened spirit. Do not imagine, however, that solitude will grant you peace. No, it grants you truth, and truth, at first, is a cruel companion when all external noise is faded. The hidden machinery of your being begins to speak. Every compromise, every falsity, every unspoken fear. Most people live as if they can silence these voices by drowning them in chatter, by surrounding themselves with the clamor of others. But when you stand alone, the masks fall. You begin to see what you have built your life upon and whether it can bear the weight of your own gaze. Loneliness is the furnace where all illusions melt. You will see how much of what you once called goodness was fear of conflict, how much of your love was hunger for validation, how much of your humility was a disguise for cowardice. In solitude, you strip the spirit bare, and what remains is not the saint, but the animal. Do not turn away from that creature. It is your foundation, your raw power, your primal yes to life. The noble soul does not despise his instincts. He transfigures them. He kneels before no ghost of morality. He listens to the pulse of life itself and builds his virtue from there. You will feel the weight of the abyss pressing against your heart. You will wonder, what if there is no meaning? Good, that is the right question. For meaning is not found, it is forged. The noble human being does not beg the universe for purpose. He creates it. He looks into the void and says, I will give you form. And what greater act of courage could there be than that? To look upon the chaos of existence and not despair, but dance. This is the test of loneliness. Whether you can turn emptiness into creation, whether you can face the silence of the cosmos without shrinking into nihilism. Many cannot. They collapse into cynicism, or flee into ideology, or cling to the arms of others as if love could replace courage. But the noble spirit says, I am alone, therefore I am free to become. Loneliness becomes the field where you wrestle with your own destiny. Out of it, you give birth to yourself. Once you have learned to live without witnesses, your actions become pure. You no longer act for reward or recognition. You act because the deed itself is worthy of you. That is nobility. Not what the world calls good, but what you call good when no one is watching. Every act becomes a form of sculpture, shaping your character as the artist shapes his stone. Loneliness is the chisel, striking again and again until the unnecessary falls away. Understand this, nobility is not arrogance. The noble spirit does not boast. He knows that greatness is not measured by domination, but by depth. The depth of self-command, of silence, of inner law. Arrogance needs spectators. Nobility needs none. The noble soul walks like a mountain, steady, self-contained, unshaken by the winds of opinion. He does not lower himself to persuade or to be liked. He is his own horizon. But such solitude demands discipline. There is a madness that hides in loneliness, the madness of those who cannot bear their own reflection. They flee inward and drown in fantasies. To become noble, you must not become lost in the labyrinth of self. You must bring order to your solitude, a rhythm, a clarity, a strength of will. Let your loneliness not be a collapse, but a stance. Do not drift in it. Stand in it. Ask yourself again and again, what do I serve? If your answer is vague, if it depends on the approval of others, then you have not yet begun. The noble soul serves only what strengthens him, what calls him to greater height. He does not serve the comfort of the many, nor the judgment of the past. His God is becoming itself. He worships the rising sun within his own breast, the promise of what he could be. There will come a day when your solitude feels unbearable, when every hour drags like a weight, when even the sky seems indifferent. That is the moment of initiation. Stay with it, for if you can endure that bleak hour without running back to the herd, you will discover something extraordinary, the wellspring of joy that comes not from others, but from existence itself. Joy without cause, affirmation without condition. The noble spirit drinks from that source, and his thirst is endless. You will notice how the noise of the world fades in significance. Praise will no longer intoxicate you. Blame will no longer wound you. You will laugh at both, not out of contempt, but out of freedom. The herd will call you cold, detached, unfeeling. Let them. They do not understand that your heart burns hotter than theirs, but its fire no longer needs to be seen. It burns quietly, steadily, consuming your fears, illuminating your path. To become noble is to become dangerous, not to others, but to every form of falsehood within yourself. The noble spirit cannot be ruled, cannot be seduced by comfort, cannot be bought by belonging. He carries his solitude like a sword, not to harm, but to cut through illusion. Each day he asks himself, what chains me today? And each day he breaks one more link. You will lose much along this path. Companionship, approval, certainty, but what you gain is beyond measure. You will gain your yes, your affirmation of life as it is, without justification, without need of reward. The noble soul says yes even to pain, yes even to loneliness, yes even to death, for he knows that life's greatness lies not in its ease, but in its intensity. And when you meet others for yes, even the noble must descend from his mountain, you will bring with you a new fragrance, not the perfume of need, but the scent of abundance. You will not cling or command. You will radiate. For those who have conquered their loneliness become sons. They do not seek warmth, they give it. Their presence awakens others, not through words, but through the silent majesty of having faced themselves. You will love differently, too. Not as one who seeks completion, but as one who shares fullness. Your solitude will have taught you the sacred art of giving without losing yourself. And this, perhaps, is the highest form of nobility. To love not from emptiness, but beware, once you have tasted this solitude, there is no return. You will forever stand apart, even among those you love. You will see through the smallness of things, and your laughter will sometimes frighten those who still take the world's puppet seriously. You will be both near and far, both human and more than human. This is the cost of nobility, to live among men as if among echoes of what you once were. Yet it is worth it. For in that distance, you will find the vastness that lesser souls will never glimpse. You will walk through the world like a storm through the valley, leaving behind new air, new possibilities. And though the world may never understand you, your solitude will know your name. There comes a moment in every noble life when solitude ceases to be an exile and becomes a home. You no longer endure it as punishment, nor adorn it with false pride. You breathe it as naturally as air. In that stillness, something remarkable occurs. The world begins to speak differently. Its noises, its petty conflicts, its frantic competitions all become distant, like the echoes of a dream you have outgrown. What once seemed urgent now feels childish. What once frightened you now amuses you. For solitude refines the ear of the spirit. You begin to hear the pulse beneath appearances, the rhythm of becoming, the eternal dance of creation and decay. You realize everything that lives is alone. Each star burns alone in the void. Each tree rises from its seed without companion. Even the gods, if they exist, must bear the silence of their own eternity. Loneliness, then, is not a human curse, it is the essence of existence. The noble spirit accepts this, not with despair, but with a deep, secret joy. He says, if the gods themselves are solitary, but beware the counterfeit solitude, the fashionable kind that wallows in melancholy. There are those who call themselves lonely, but secretly desire pity, who make a spectacle of their isolation. Their loneliness is vanity in disguise. True loneliness is proud, silent, fertile. It does not cry out for witnesses. It grows like roots beneath the earth unseen, but nourishing everything above. If your solitude still needs to be seen, it is not yet solitude, it is performance. Do not confuse nobility with asceticism. I do not speak of fleeing the world, of rejecting pleasure or joy. The noble one embraces life, but on his own terms. His solitude is not withdrawal, but elevation. From the height of his inner mountain, he can finally see the landscape of life whole, the suffering and the beauty, the cruelty and the tenderness. He does not seek to escape the world, but to love it more fiercely, more honestly, more dangerously. His love is not sentimental, it is creative. He loves life as an artist loves his clay, by shaping it, transforming it, willing it into new form. Perhaps now you understand why I have always spoken of the Übermensch, not as a being of muscle and arrogance, but as one who has mastered his loneliness. He stands where others fall silent. He creates where others consume. He commands where others obey. He has learned to live without the crutches of approval, and thus he walks upright where others crawl. His solitude is not emptiness, but power. The power to say yes to his own existence without needing permission from heaven or earth. You must learn to speak to yourself as one would speak to a comrade sternly, but with love. In solitude, the noble spirit becomes both master and pupil, sculptor and stone. There is no escape from yourself, so make of yourself something worth being trapped with. Let your solitude be a school. Let it teach you the art of listening, of patience, of endurance. In time, you will see that the silence of solitude is not the absence of sound, it is the music of eternity, faint but constant, waiting for those who have the courage to hear it. In this silence, you will begin to understand time differently. The lonely one knows that there is no hurry. The world rushes to avoid itself, to drown its terror in movement. But the noble soul walks slowly, like one who knows he is eternal. He no longer measures his worth in achievements or applause. His victories are invisible, the quiet overcoming of weakness, the patient refinement of his will, the serene acceptance of pain as teacher. The world may not notice, but the cosmos does, for every noble act echoes across eternity. Yet even for the noble, solitude must eventually turn outward. Once you have forged yourself in the fire of loneliness, you must return to the world, not as a beggar seeking love, but as a creator bestowing it. Your solitude was the seed, now comes the fruit. Go into the marketplace, into the tumult of humanity, and let your silence speak louder than their noise. Do not preach, radiate. Do not command, inspire. Let your presence awaken in others what once awoke in you, the yearning to become whole. Understand, you cannot give others your solitude, but you can remind them of their own. Every human being carries a secret loneliness. Some drown it, others numb it, few transform it. When they see you, calm amid chaos, joyful amid isolation, they will sense that you have discovered a different law of being. They will not know what it is, but they will feel it. And that feeling will unsettle them, as truth always does. This, then, is the highest nobility, to live as an example of what is possible, not to convert, not to conquer, but to exist as a living question. The noble spirit is a mirror that reflects not who others are, but who they could be. His loneliness is the silence before a new dawn, and through him, others catch the first light. But the world will resist you. The herd always resists what it cannot comprehend. They will try to name you, to categorize you, to bring you down to their level. They will call your independence arrogance, your silence indifference, your joy madness. Let them. Their words cannot reach the altitude where your soul resides. When they mock you, remember, the eagle does not descend to quarrel with crows. Keep flying. Let the winds of misunderstanding strengthen your wings. You will feel compassion for them, not the weak compassion that wishes to save, but the strong compassion that allows others to struggle, to fail, to find their own solitude. For you will know that without loneliness, no one becomes themselves. To rob another of his solitude is to rob him of his nobility. Thus, even your mercy will be fierce, your kindness disciplined. You will not shield others from the storm. You will show them how to walk through it. And when night comes, for it always does, you will sit once more in your solitude beneath the endless stars and feel at peace. The noise of the world will fade like the dying echo of a distant battle. You will feel the pulse of your own being, steady and vast. You will know that you have lived as few dare to live, without masters, without masks, without fear. You will smile, not in triumph, but in quiet understanding, for you will have learned the greatest secret, that loneliness is not the enemy of life, but its purest expression. The noble one dies as he lived alone, but radiant. His solitude does not end with death. It becomes music. Those who listen carefully will hear it a faint, defiant song, drifting through the centuries, whispering, "Become who you are." And when you do, you will never be alone again.